It's nice to see a face and and your little silhouettes. So this, I guess, technically is the last class for summer session 1, and we're going to segue hopefully seamlessly into summer session 2, because I'm going to try to, for the next 7 weeks, and I think that's the total amount of time we have together. I think for the next 7 weeks, I'm going to every week be focusing in on one of the chakras. So you might have heard in your travels through life about chakras. Some people say chakra. I was always taught chakra. And they're energy systems in your body. There are 7 different chakras. Today we're going to start with the first one called your Muladhara chakra. So are chakras real, quote unquote real? Who knows, right? Energy is real. Different traditions call things different things, right? Chinese medicine has a whole system in place. Western medicine has systems, right? We have an endocrine system, we have a reproductive system, a digestive system, yada, yada, yada. Psychology has systems, right? And in yoga, we have the chakra system. And it is believed that if all of your chakras are unblocked and in alignment, you will be able to move through life more easily. And blockages in different chakras show up in different ways. So I am going to invite you all to close your eyes, stay in a comfortable seated position. And if having your legs crossed is not comfortable, then by all means uncross them. But I'm going to ask you to close your eyes and bring your awareness to the area around your tailbone and those 2 vertebrae right above your tailbone. And then also let your awareness drift to your pelvic floor. So this is the location, the physical location of your Muladhara chakra. Mula means root, and Hara means base or support. So this is the base of all of our other chakras. So as we work to unblock and balance our Muladhara chakra, we're laying the solid foundation for all of the chakras above. And your Muladhara chakra is responsible for whatever in your life brings you a feeling of stability or safety. So perhaps you take a moment or 2 and think about what it is that makes you feel safe, that makes you feel stable. For some people, it's a certain number in their bank account. For other people, it's a certain number on the blood pressure machine. But what is it that makes you feel safe, that makes you feel stable? An imbalance in your root chakra shows up in the form of anxiety, fear, perhaps nightmares. Physical imbalances manifest as problems with your bladder, problems with your colon, problems with elimination, and lower back issues. So we're going to work today to bring a sense of openness and balance to our root chakra. I'd like you to begin, keeping your eyes closed if possible, to make some nice big circles with your whole body. So your entire torso is moving. But I want you to imagine that the movement is being generated from the area around your low back. And then reverse it, try to go around the other way. And then come to a still point, gently pressing into your knees, lift up a little bit taller in your seat, and bring your hands together at your heart center. Allow your chin to drop down toward your chest. And then slowly begin to open your eyes, following your hands with your gaze, raising your arms up over your head. Take a nice, big, full, deep breath in. And as you exhale, allow your right hand to come behind you. So your thumb is going to be right near your tailbone. You're using that right arm to straighten your spine. Your left hand comes onto your thigh. Turn from your belly, your ribs, your chest, look over your right shoulder. And then come back through center. Raise your arms back up over your head. Create some axial extension. Lengthen that spine. And then your left hand comes behind you. So it rests right by your low back. Your right hand comes to your thigh. You turn your belly, your ribs, your chest. You look over your left shoulder. And then come back to center. Raise your arms up over your head. Take a big breath in. And with your palms forward, begin to slowly lower yourself down, releasing your head, your hands, your heart. As you creep your fingers forward, notice if your hips or your butt is tending to lift up off the floor. We want to stay rooted to the mat. Walk your hands a little bit over to the left. Take your right hand, place it on top of your left hand. And then come back through center, and your hands come over to the right side of your mat. Left hand rests on top of your right. Come back to center, and then slide your hands up. We're going to practice. We're going to fool around a little bit with coming to lotus pose. So lotus pose is when you take one foot and you rest it on your thigh. And then you try to take the other foot and rest it on your other thigh. So lotus pose is one of the most recognizable poses in yoga. It's also one of the most challenging. But if you can come into this position, great. If you can't, just have one foot resting on your thigh. But I want you to start to feel like you're lifting up on your pelvic floor. Your pelvic floor is a muscle, like your diaphragm under your ribs. Your pelvic floor is a muscle that helps to harness internal energy. So I want you to feel like you're lifting up on your pelvic floor, not to sound gross, but imagine that you're peeing and you have to stop suddenly. That's lifting on your pelvic floor. And then you're going to place your hands next to you. And you're going to lift on your pelvic floor and see if you can lift yourself up and maybe swing back and forth a little. And then release yourself down if you were up, and then uncross your feet. Take a moment to just lift one leg, circle your ankle around. So again, lotus pose, very challenging for many different reasons. It's challenging for your ankles, it's challenging for your knees, but it's a good pose to come into if you can, to get that feeling of lifting up through your pelvic floor. We're now going to roll over onto our hands and knees. Once you're on your hands and knees, immediately those fingers spread nice and wide. Leading with your tailbone, you're going to hear me talk about it a lot. Lift your tailbone, lift your chin, look up. Big breath in. As you exhale, tuck your tailbone, tuck your chin. Again, nice breath in, lift that tailbone, lift that chin, look up. And as you exhale, tuck your tailbone, tuck your chin. Come back to a neutral spine. Open your knees nice and wide. So your big toes are touching. Your knees are at the edges of your mat. Leading with your tailbone. Come back into a wide-legged child pose. In your wide-legged child's pose, you're pushing the floor away from you. You can even hold on to the outer edges of your mat, pulling it away. Getting a sensation perhaps that your tailbone has a magnet on it and your heels have the opposite pole of the magnet. So you're stretching your low back by trying to get your tailbone toward your heel. And then you're going to walk your hands back. You're going to come up. You're going to leave your knees nice and wide. So you can see my feet are together. My knees are nice and wide. It's like I have a triangular shape. This is probably one of the weirder things that we're going to do today. Or maybe ever. So I want you to bring your hands together. And then you're going to sit down on your heels. And then lift yourself back up as you lift up on your pelvic floor. So inhale, lower. And as you exhale, lift up on your pelvic floor. Maybe you even draw your belly button in. And you lift up on your pelvic floor almost like, again, like you're trying to root, like lock that energy in. So sit back down and then lift yourself back up And then sit back down. I've gotten more graphic, but I won't with you guys. And lift yourself back up. And then one more time, sit down. Nice big breath in. As you exhale, lift yourself back up. Good. Hands come to the floor. Walk your knees together. Curl your toes, leading with your tailbone. Start to lift up, lift up, lift up until you find yourself in your down dog. Your body looks like a capital and upside down capital letter V. Your head is heavy, your heels are heavy. But I want most of your attention right now to be resting on your tailbone, reaching up toward the ceiling. And then come up to your tippy toes, bend your right knee, let your left heel stretch down. And then back to your tippy toes, bend your left knee, your right heel comes down. Back to your tippy toes, and then both of your heels come down. Adding a little balance work, that left hand taps your right knee, and then bring it back. Right hand taps your left knee, and bring it back. Left to right, and back. Right to left, and back. Come up onto your tippy toes. Bend your knees. Pull it on your belly. Lift up on your pelvic floor. Take a big breath in. And as you exhale, fly your feet to your hands. Keep your knees nice and bent. And stay in a forward bend. So perhaps you feel as if your belly is resting on your thighs. Your head's heavy, your arms are relaxed. But it's your low back by your tailbone where your attention is resting right now. And you try to feel as if that tailbone is stretching up toward the ceiling. Begin to slowly straighten your knees, bring your hands to your shins, look forward. And as you stay here, your chest is drawing forward, you're gently pressing against your shins, and your tailbone stretching back. Big breath in. As you exhale, fold forward. You're going to bend your knees, lift your arms, lift your chest. I'm going to look at my iPad so you can see me. You're coming to your chair pose, Uttanasana, chair pose. So in your chair pose, I want you to shift your weight into your heels. And then take a big breath in, and as you exhale, bring your arms out to the side. I'll do a little more reconfiguring here. From your shoulder joints, start to make some big circles forward. And then you're going to reverse it. You're going to go backward. So again, the movement, just to show you, the movement is not, are my arms moving? Of course. But the movement isn't coming from my arm. It's coming from my shoulders. And then come to a still point, sink down a little bit lower. Take a big breath in. And as you exhale, bring your arms up over your head. Another nice big breath in. As you exhale, fold forward. Stay with your knees bent deeply. And then you begin to straighten your legs, hands to your shins, look forward. As you exhale, fold forward again. This time you're going to take your fingers, you're going to hold on to your big toes. You're going to pull up on your big toe as you stretch your tailbone back. And then release your toes. Slide your hands back to your shins, keeping your back straight. Lift yourself up. Sweep your arms over your head. Relax your shoulders. And then step your feet apart. Bring your hands back to your heart center. Take a nice breath in. I'm trying to see where you can see me more. And now, as you exhale, bend your knees, lower yourself down. So you're in what I like to call a Buddha squat. And you're going to stay here for a little while. Try to get the best view, not that. You really need to see me squatting. So in your Buddha squat, can you bring some of your attention to your pelvic floor? And then harnessing that pelvic floor energy, lift yourself up and then lower yourself back down. Lift yourself up, lower yourself back down. Lift yourself up, lower yourself back down. Stay here. Lift up your right heel. and release. Left heel, release. Right, release. Left, release. Lift both of your heels, sink down a little bit lower. And then release your heels, place your hands on the floor. Try to use your elbows to open up your knees and your thighs. And then leaving your hands on the floor, drop your head, look down, and start to straighten your legs, leading with your tailbone, your hips lift. And then you're gonna bend your knees, drop your tailbone, your back, and your squat. Inhale, lift. Exhale, squat. Inhale, lift. Exhale, squat. Try to feel like you're lifting up on your pelvic floor as you lift up. Inhale, lift. Exhale, squat. Inhale, lift. Exhale, squat. Stay here. And now sweep that right arm up and release. Sweep your left arm up and release. Right arm, release. Left arm, release. Use those elbows, open those legs a little wider. And then straighten your legs. Take your hands, hold onto your ankles. Your head is heavy. Your tailbone's reaching up. You're stretching your whole spine here. And then you're going to slowly slide your hands up your legs. Bring your hands to your heart center. Take 3 intentional breaths. Big inhale. Exhale, 1. Another big breath in. Exhale, 2. One more big breath in. As you exhale, we're coming back down into that squat. And this time your knees come together and then they open. And together and open. Together and open. Together and open. Hold it. Come all the way down, elbows inside. So now you understand how when you start to balance your Muladhara chakra, it helps with problems with digestion, elimination. And then hands come behind us. We're going to sit back down on the floor and your legs are going to come straight out in front of you. Toes to your face. Move the flesh from your sits bones. Right? What does that mean? That means if you're lucky enough to have a little extra padding, move it away. Sit up nice and tall. Squeeze your thighs together. So your legs are working here. Sweep your arms up over your head, relax your shoulders. So Muladhara work, which is pelvic floor and low back, also involves a lot of squatting, which is hip opening. Take a big breath in, and as you exhale, come forward, forward, forward. See if you can hold on to your feet. When you use those large muscles of your thighs and your glutes, another big breath in, lift up. As you exhale, bend your elbows, come forward like we just did in our chair pose, like we just did in all of our Buddha squats. You are releasing an enzyme called a mitokine, which helps to boost immunity. It's released during exercise using large muscle groups. And then you're going to straighten your arms. Lift your arms up and allow your arms to come down to your side. Move your right leg off to the side just a little bit. You're going to take your left foot, bring it inside your thigh. We're coming to Janu Shirshasana. You're going to turn your body a little bit, looking over that right knee. Arms come up, big breath in, exhale, come forward. So you might feel this in your inner thigh. You might feel it in the back of that whole right leg. You might also feel it in your low back on your left side. Let your right hand stay on your shin or ankle. Lift that left arm up into the air. I'm turning my body a little bit to look up to that left hand. Take a big breath in. And as you exhale, you're going to let that left elbow drop over your left ear Your arm is straight, your fingers are stretching forward. And try to have an awareness of what's happening with your left knee. Is it up high in the air? Can you maybe send some relaxing breaths to lower it down a little bit? Big breath in, sweep that left hand up. As you exhale, release it down behind you. Lift up on your pelvic floor and up you come. Looking up toward your right hand. And then just to challenge your balance a little bit, shift your gaze down toward your left knee. And then back up to your right hand. And then down to your left knee. Back up to your right hand. Slowly lower yourself down. Feet come together in Baddha Konasana. Hold onto your toes. Lift up. Elbows can rest on your calves as you draw your chest forward, your chin forward. When you can't come any further forward, you release your head down. So as I mentioned, Muladhara work involves a lot of hip opening, as you can tell just from the very nature of the position of your legs right now. But because we've already done all of our squats to open your hips up, hopefully you can feel this a little bit in your low back. And then you're going to lift yourself up. This time your left leg stretches out. Your right foot comes in very high up, right? We're thinking about our pelvic floor. We want that heel, that right heel very high up on that right side, that left thigh. I'm getting my left and right confused. Turn your body a little bit. Arms come up. Big sip of air. Exhale, fold forward. Hold on somewhere. Does it have to be your foot? No, it can be your knee. It could be your calf. But hold on somewhere. And again, notice what's going on with this right knee. Is it up in the air? And it slowly starts to soften. Does that right knee feel different than your left knee did? The more tightness in one hip area than the other? Can you feel yourself stretching in this lower side of your back on the right side? And then you're going to leave your left hand on your ankle or your shin, and that right arm comes up into the air. Look how I'm twisting a little bit, little spinal twist as I look up to that right hand. Big breath in, I reach up even higher. And as I exhale, that elbow drops over my ear. My arm's not relaxed, it's energized. Nice big breath in. And your exhale sweeps that arm behind you. Take another big breath in. Let your exhale help lift you up. Maybe you engage that pelvic floor to help you. Your gaze is at your left hand, and then you turn and look down toward your right knee. Back up to your left hand, down to your right knee, back up to your left hand, and then release yourself down. And you're going to bring your feet together, knees stay open wide. This time your hands come underneath. You hold on to your toes or your ankles or somewhere. Big breath in. And once again, that exhale brings you forward, right? I'm not coming down, I'm coming forward. So the word mula means root. And we're working on our Muladhara chakra. There's also something in yoga called Mula Bandha. And bandhas are locks. There's a throat lock and there's a root lock. So your root lock is when you lift up on your pelvic floor and contain the energy. So it's believed in yoga that energy can leave your body, right? And we want to contain it by holding it in. And that holding it in helps to lift you up. It gives you that harnessing energy power to lift yourself up. So we're going to lift ourselves back up now. And we're going to try, just like we did at the very beginning, to see if perhaps we explore what it's like to lift ourselves up in lotus pose again. So now we've done a lot of hip opening. Maybe this is a little more accessible. So you try one foot and then you try the other. And maybe you switch the feet. And then your hands come next to you. You lift up on your pelvic floor. You take a big breath in. And as you exhale, up you come and maybe you rock back and forth. And then release yourself down. Uncross your legs. And you're going to bring your legs in front of you. I'm going to sit sideways so you can see me. Nice big breath in, hands on your thighs, lean back a little bit. And then release one arm, release the other. Lift up one leg, lift up the other. Stay here for 3 breaths. Big inhale. Exhale 1. Another big breath in. Exhale 2. One more big breath in. And as you exhale, once again, open those knees, hold on to your feet. So this is almost like a seated happy baby. You're balancing on your tailbone. You're rooted down. If you engage your pelvic floor, you might feel some more stability. And then maybe you open one leg, maybe you open the other, stay here. And then you're gonna close your knees, arms come out. We're back in Ardha Navasana, half boat pose. And then you're gonna bring your hands to the floor. You're gonna cross your ankles, bring your knees in toward your armpits, cobbler's pose. Stretch your legs out, switch the cross, bring your knees back in. Stretch your legs, switch the cross, knees back in. Stretch your legs, switch the cross, knees back in. Hold it, hold it, hold it. And then uncross your feet, bring them onto the floor. Arms come straight out and slowly, slowly, slowly lower yourself down. Bring one knee into your chest. Bring the other knee into your chest. Hold on to your kneecaps. Make some big circles all the way around. And then try to reverse it and go around the other way. And then come to a still point. Place your feet on the floor. So we're coming to a bridge pose, but I want you to make sure that your feet aren't too far out. I want you to walk your feet in closer to your butt, so that as you now lift your hips up, you can reach down and maybe you can feel your ankles or your heels, and maybe you actually hold on to your heels or your ankles with your fingers. This is stretching the whole front of your body here. So you might feel yourself creating length down the front of your arms, in your shoulders. Those long, strong muscles of your thighs are stretching forward. Maybe you lift your hips a little higher. Feel yourself stretching through your hip flexors. We're going to try to stay here for 3 more breaths. Big breath in. As you exhale, lift your hips a little more. Another big inhale. Another exhale. One more big breath in. And as you exhale, slowly, slowly, slowly lower yourself down. And then your arms are going to come out to the side. One knee comes in, the other knee comes in. You pause. You imagine that lower back anchored to the floor. Your knees are not open, they're glued together, and they fall halfway to the right. Your head turns to the left. And then you come back to center. And now your knees fall halfway to the left, your head turns to the right. And back to center. And then you're going to let your knees fall all the way to the right. So you might want to move that left arm down a little bit so your shoulder can stay on the floor. And then your right hand is on top of your left knee or thigh. And you're going to use that hand to gently guide
that left knee a little closer to the midline of your body. It helps you to stretch through your left glute a little bit more. So you in a spinal twist right now, you betcha. But I want you to think just a little bit about stretching that left hip. Release your right hand. Keep your thighs glued together. Squeeze your thighs together and lift them back. And then both of those knees come down to the left. Your head turns to the right. Maybe you lower that right arm a little bit so that your right shoulder can rest comfortably on the floor. And your left hand rests on your knee, or maybe you hook it behind your knee on your thigh. And you gently try to bring that right leg a little bit closer to your body, helping you to stretch through that right hip. Release your hand. Keep those thighs glued together and bring your knees back to center, and then feet come down to the floor. Hands now come to your side with your palms facing down. So when your palms are facing down, you can use a little bit more support, right? So when your palms are facing upward, you're using more core strength. But right now we might need our hands for our support because we're going to lift ourselves up in the bridge pose. And you're going to shift your weight into this left leg. Your right leg's going to come up into the air, toes to your face. Trying to fire up that left glute, press into your left heel, and then tap your butt to the mat and lift yourself back up. Tap and lift. Tap and lift. Tap and lift. Hold it. Bend your knee, foot to the floor. Release yourself down. Bring both of your knees in toward your chest. So I want you to bring your knees really close into your chest. And then as you inhale, push them away. And as you exhale, bring them back in. Inhale and exhale. This is called Apanasana. And then again, inhale and exhale. Inhale, this time as you exhale, feet come to the floor, hands come to your side. You once again press through your heels, lift yourself up so your hips are not super high. Your hands are supporting you. You're shifting your weight into your right leg. This left leg comes up into the air, toes to your face. Tap your butt and lift, and tap and lift, tap and lift, tap and lift. Hold it. Bend your knee, foot to the floor. Release yourself down. Re-anchor that low back by drawing your belly in as you exhale. And just to feel that, take your hand and slide it into that little curve in your spine. As you breathe in, notice that curve. And then as you exhale, pull your belly button back. Feel your low back pressing into your hand. Inhale. And then as you exhale, pull your belly in. Feel your low back pressing into your hand. One more time, big breath in. And as you exhale, press into your hand. Remove your hands. Inhale. Notice how this is like a pelvic tilt, right? So if I said pelvic tilt, it might be too confusing. But when you feel yourself pressing into your hand, you can notice a little bit more. So big breath in. As you exhale, pull your belly in and my pelvic bowl tilts upward. Inhale. And then as I exhale, my pelvic bowl tilts upward. Maybe you're engaging your pelvic floor. And then one more time. Inhale. Exhale. And then bring your knees back into your chest. Open them out to the side. Hold on to your feet. So now we're coming into a real happy baby. You're going to pause here for a moment though. You're going to open one leg out to the side, open the other leg out to the side. If it feels safe, rock yourself gently from side to side. And then come to a still point. Bend your knees, letting your knees come toward your armpits. Imagine your tailbone. Once again, it's that magnet. The opposite pole is your mat. So can you feel it stretching down toward the floor? Bring your feet together, bring your knees together. You're going to let your knees rest on your chest. We're going to transition right now. We're going to travel very quickly through shoulder stand, and we're going to wind up with our legs behind us. So if you want to watch me, you can. If you want to try to use the strength of your core to lift yourself up, you can. Or I'll move back a little bit. Or you can use a little rocking and rolling to get your legs up, and then they come down behind you. So why are we doing this now? We're doing this to stretch that low back. And then you're going to try to bend your knees and bring them near your ears. And then bring your knees back together. Slowly, slowly, slowly lower yourself all the way down. Feet come onto the floor. Pause for a moment. Re-engage your low back with the floor by consciously exhaling, right? Feel that pelvic tilt. As you exhale and your pelvic bowl rocks up a little bit, it anchors that lumbar spine to the mat. And then you're going to let your knees fall open to the side. Now you're in Supta Baddha Konasana. We did this seated. Now you're doing it supine, lying down. Place your hands on your inner thighs and gently guide your knees a little bit closer to the floor. And just get a felt sense of, is one knee significantly higher than the other? Can you feel yourself using your breath to release your knees? Can you stretch your arms over your head? So now you're getting length through your side body as well. And then release your arms back to your side. Stretch your right leg straight out in front of you. Stretch your left leg straight out in front of you. Turn your palms upward to help open your chest, to help relax your shoulders, to help bring you into a position of receptivity. And then let your awareness once again drop down to your pelvic floor. And as you breathe in, see if you can imagine yourself drawing your breath up that pelvic floor, from that pelvic floor up through your whole body. The color associated with your Muladhara chakra is red. So perhaps you picture a red spinning wheel of energy, right? Chakra means wheel. So maybe you picture that red spinning wheel of energy in the area of your pelvic floor and your low back. So a balanced, open Muladhara chakra
helps us to feel a sense of peace and safety. It helps us to feel a sense of stability. As you spend a few more moments in Shavasana, your final resting pose, let your attention, just for a moment or two, rest with your sense of smell. Every chakra is related to a sense, and the Muladhara chakra is related to your sense of smell. You just notice any smells, any odors. If you think that you can't smell anything, what does nothing smell like? Take one more nice, big, full breath in. And use your exhale to help roll you onto whichever side of your body feels safer. And then slowly guide yourself back to a seated position, trying to keep your eyes closed if possible. And bring your hands together at your heart center. Once again, feel the power of your pelvic floor lifting. Feel the power of your tailbone reaching down to the earth. Feel that sense of connection, that sense of stability. And express gratitude toward yourself for your willingness, either forced or unforced by me, to explore healing any sense of being stuck or imbalance in that Muladhara chakra. And hopefully through this opening up, it will help relieve any sense of anxiety, any excessive fears, and it will help you to feel safe, grounded, and stable when you leave your mat and return to your world. Take one more big, full, deep breath in. And as you exhale, bow forward. Namaste. Thank you all for joining me this afternoon. I hope everybody has a lovely long weekend, and I will see you next week as we move on up the list, okay?